All right, let's get on into this here. So, another day ahead of us here in regards to doing some more casting of your ranked matches. Before we do get into that though, I do have a couple of things I want to talk about right off the rip. First off, my apologies for those who were expecting me on Thursday's The Download podcast. Unfortunately, I did have some really early appointments and stuff that I had to deal with early on in that day. And on my stream, I said I was going to still be able to do it, but upon consulting everybody, it was not possible. So unfortunately, I did have to make my way and miss that episode. But of course, still, TSG and Scoriox did a fantastic job, of course, on their show. Nonetheless, and I hope you all still tuned in and still enjoyed yourselves. And next, in regards to announcement, I do have one other thing in regards to at least myself, I guess, kind of personally here. So like everybody else in the world right now, I do need to start making some cuts. I can't be putting, like, I've already am in a very budget kind of scenario where I didn't put like a whole heck of a lot monetarily into the stream. And it's not, or not that I don't want to, but of course just don't necessarily have the funds to be able to do so. And with that, a couple of the programs that I have been using, or a few of the extra features that I'd have in my stream, I do have to kind of do some cutbacks on. So the first one and foremost, like, this one's not going to be I guess a major one to many, but just the short style, like how I'd always have a short coming out basically every day. I do have to start slowing down on that and have to start doing it manually. I can't be using the service that I was using before. I do have to cut it. Just unfortunate, but it is what it is there. Secondly, is in regards to my streaming platforms, because of course I do use Restream. I stream currently on Twitch, YouTube, and X, but I've been kind of fighting this battle. Even with my old job, I was thinking this way, but I think I'm going to need to consolidate a little bit, and I can't afford to keep using Restream anymore, and nor can I keep affording a X Premium subscription. I am that much in a crunch scenario where I need every dollar that I can in regards to keeping the lights on. And I'll be completely frank and honest about it. I hate it. It's not for greed, just it's a difference between food or not later on that day, right? So I'm going to be focusing moving forward, starting in March. All of my streams are going to be YouTube exclusive. That way I don't have to worry about the Restream side of things. And then I'm not going to worry about Twitch either. I mean, there's a whole other can of worms that I could have about my thoughts on Twitch and how it's run. But it seems like overall YouTube is my most watched platform. And with myself also going to be spending some time still making long form videos. So this is going to be a bit of a blessing and a curse, so I'll explain that in a second. But starting in March, everything will be YouTube focused. There will no longer be any streams happening on the Silent Cast's Twitch. And then in regards to X, I'll share the YouTube link, but the stream itself will not be on X, if that makes sense. Just because just have to cut costs, unfortunately. So, and it is what it is. I'll gladly look back into it if things do end up changing, but for now, that's how it's got to be. In regards to any of my audiences that are exclusive to any of the other platforms, I do want to stress that you've done nothing wrong. There's nothing like that. Just I need to focus on the one in order to just be able to keep doing what I'm doing and not just hemorrhage money, and make sure that myself and the rest of the family can live safely. Not comfortably, but safely. But in regards to the fun stuff for today, so of course we're back at it with casting your ranked matches. So as of this moment, again, I'm not the one competing right now. I want you to queue up for ranked. The next match that happens to go live will be the one that I do end up casting. I can see all of the current ongoing matches. And it looks like the first couple of games have already gotten underway, but they're about 10 minutes already in there. They're like halfway done. So next game that goes live will be the one that we do end up casting. I'll be keeping an eye on that here over on the other monitor in a moment's time. But of course, for today still, regardless of which platform you happen to be on, I do have the chats open for everything. So if you want to chit-chat, if you want to share your piece, or if you just want to chill, I'm just happy you're here in the first place. But the option is there if you do wish to use it. And of course, right before this stream actually ended up happening, of course, the only reason I'm in Illuvium right now was in regards to Pokemon. I found out about Illuvium again. I think I've told the story many times before, but I was watching an MMJ TV Pokemon video, a very rather large Pokemon YouTuber, and they had an ad for Illuvium, even though they got in trouble by the community essentially, and he had to take that video down. The ad showing up the once kind of fueled the fire for me to go learn what Illuvium was, learn how to do a Web3 transaction, and got me to where I am here. But of course, that means I am still interested in Pokemon, but I want to be interested in both. So no matter what, if you hear me talking about Pokemon, it's not in regards to, oh, he's going back to Pokemon, he hates Illuvium. What the? No. I love them both. I just love the genre as a whole, and I still do absolutely believe in Illuvium and the potential this game will be. So just because I'm talking positively about Pokemon sometimes, doesn't mean that I'm thinking negatively about Illuvium, if that makes sense. Except for I'll see what you gotta do, watching and working at the same time. Hell yeah, get it done. Hope you're having a great day though so far. Yeah, right before the stream started here, we did have, just an hour ago, Pokemon had their direct. I guess it is Pokemon Day. And they did reveal two things, at least personally, that I'm very, very interested in. And alright, I swear there could be a silent minigame where every single time I say very, very take a shot, y'all would be drunk by the end of the stream. But we got the announcement about Gen 10. Winds and Waves is going to be the game that looks like it's coming on out. And I know it's just a trailer, but I hope that the game can actually perform in terms of its actual performance and FPS. I hope that it can do as good as it looked in that trailer, because even though the art style was similar to Scarlet and Violet, it looked clean. While it may still have been, we could joke around about graphics that might have been from the PS3 era, it was smooth. It looked really good, and I'm very, very happy. So we got Winds and Waves, and then for at least myself, Pokemon Champions on my birthday month, coming in April. So about a month and a half from now, we get Pokemon Champions. So that's going to be the new competitive platform for Pokemon games. And that excites me greatly. I'm happy that it's no longer tied to just the main series game. And of course, in the past at my old work, one of the events that I did get to do before I inevitably left was a Pokemon Mid-Season Invitational series where we had 4 separate Mid-Season Invitationals all in a row, back to back to back to back, across 4 days. Just myself and a couple of students. I produced it, and it was probably one of the most fun streams that I've done in regards to... It was the most fun stream that I've done in regards to community involvement and how happy they were until IPL and Illuvium came around, if that makes sense. Just wait on some Zero updates, start building big time again. Hell yeah, I know, I'm definitely looking forward to that too. I've already started making little arrangements because I'm at least picturing it. We don't know what the building looks like for Illuvium Zero, right? But I'm guessing it's going to be the old marketplace building that used to be in the game. And that was a beefy building. It was about as big as the Nexus, if I recall correctly. So I have a spot ready on majority of my plots, ready to start cooking. I'm going to be looking forward to that. What's your favorite Pokemon? Mine is Swampert. Mine is Milotic. Or Milotic, however you want to pronounce it, with a close second being Meloetta. I've heard about Illuvium from a video, talk about it upcoming, but yep, absolutely. Yeah, we're this in April too. Hey, awesome, JB. Hope you're having a fantastic day as well. And that'll be a great month, I'm sure. We're still just loading on up here, waiting for the next game to begin. I'm sure it'll be just a matter of time. I'd hop into queue and check and see how far along the queue is, but then if all of a sudden I'm player 8 and I'm playing, well, I just kind of wrecked it now, didn't I? So I'll hang on for just a moment's time. Yeah, so all that's extremely interesting to me, and I hope that at least with Pokemon Champions, that there is some sort of spectator mode. Because I'm not gonna lie, I would love to be able to do something like what I'm doing now, but for Pokemon 2. And I would love to be able to kind of do this kind of style with both games in theory, so I can hopefully introduce the audience of Pokemon to Illuvium as well, in a more natural, non-advertising or shilly kind of fashion. I just cast one creature collector, that's Illuvium, another creature collector and battler, that's Pokemon, and it's natural. Screw the NFT Web3 bullshit. I don't have to mention any of that stuff if I don't really want to. Just battler with creatures, interested, same thing. That's how I see it. But the idea is there. And if that does, of course, again, end up being a thing, I'm not leaving Illuvium. Unless Illuvium goes down or does something catastrophically negative. And I'm not talking about like balance patches or just like game mechanics that I'm not a fan of. Like I'm talking about like the game ending level of problems. Unless something like that happens, I don't plan on leaving. And with this whole cost-cutting thing, I mean, at least it's kind of a blessing and a curse, because now, before I used to have a program that would help find me the highlights in my stream, I'd be able to then send those off to YouTube after trimming it, doing a little bit of editing myself, and they'd be some solid clips, but a lot of them could be a little bit repetitive, so to speak. But now, since all I have is my video editing software, I'm just running off of Premiere. So everything that I make is going to be strictly handcrafted now. So I'd argue that this is a little bit of a blessing, because it means that everything that I do put out is going to be higher quality. It's just not going to come out as often, if that makes sense. I'm trying to get myself into the habit of doing more and more long form stuff, but then also more manually crafted shorts. So now's a better time than ever. Toxic is very strong right now, especially paired with Nature Empath, and get Bulwarks and Water even better. I've only been getting beat by much higher players. I'm definitely going to have to take a look at that, because Toxic seemed okay, but the biggest thing that I'm seeing right now is the biggest problem is Empath. Just the amount of shields that you get is unbearable and is unbreakable. And the teams that I see exploiting it the hardest right now are rogues, due to being able to put Revenant on top of that as well. Like, Revenant, I think, is still good, but okay. It's the shielding that they get from the empaths that's the problem mixed in with it. So I imagine if Empath got turned down a little bit, then Revenant would be in a healthy spot. Because in theory, if you're losing your team and you're getting a little bit more attack damage, that's fine, but you should still be mortal. You should still be killable. And right now that's not the case, and especially if I'm thinking about it correctly, if Empath and Revenant are triggering off of Gorilla clones, that's a problem, and that needs to be fixed, because the clones are not actually a unit, right? But if you're still getting shields and you're still getting attack damage buffs because of Gorilla clones, that is very, very problematic. All right, we got a lobby coming on up here in just a moment's time. Just started a minute ago. I'm going to give it a second just to load up. And we'll get into a swing of things here for our first match of the day. Got 4 toxic yesterday, only lost to 2 level 50-60 players. And it was just the overtime pulses that got you? I see. Okay. Well, you're right there. You might be onto something. I know personally I'm trying to figure things out. My biggest team, of course, like I say all the time, is my Scions. I've been trying my best to work with Invoker Scion. But it definitely does feel... It's a mixture of things. Because I know I'm not the highest level in terms of Illuvials. So I don't have a scenario where it's like my level 60s going up against somebody else's level 60s. It's more so my level 35s to 51s going up against other level 50s and 60s. So I don't have the cleanest of data to truly work with. But all I'll say is it's tough right now. It is so tough. When the shields are never ending and the attack damage keeps stacking, the Omega power that you get from Invoker just doesn't feel like enough, at least to me. It's basically negligible. So to counteract that, I try to just build tanky, and that's still not enough. I've even done builds where there's the energy augment that gives you Omega power every single time you hit a shield. Put that onto a Sinolf, and every single hit on every single tick stacks Omega power. I've had like 600-700 Omega power, and it's still not enough to make a dent. So it's tough right now. Empaths absolutely need a nerf, and then Polar Bear. Jotun's been a problem too. Of the few times that I did see Jotun in action, it did just seem like an unstoppable, like, stun bot. So I definitely need to see more of that to truly understand. All right. Here, quick medicine break before we get started, then we'll be hopping right on in right after the weapons, it looks like. Polar Bear's just healing too much. Okay, I see. I mean, they did make that change so that it healed based off of max health and not missing. Maybe that just opened the floodgates for it being too damn terrifying. But all right, let's get into the swing of things here with our first game of the day. Gonna aim for 3 or 4 here in the session, as long as the queues do allow us to do so. As we take a look at our players here today, we do have Dr. Spoon once again going to be, I am imagine, the favorite in most of our lobbies here today. You've been on the stream multiple times, and I mean, you have heard me sing the praises of everybody, of course, but especially Dr. Spoon is always showing up in the top 3 at the very minimum. Very high level player alongside high level alluvials and high stat alluvials. We do have Damon here as well, which I believe has been, I mean, they've been around for at least a little bit, but I think this is the first time we get to see them on stream. As we can take a look at their squad here with Dr. Spoon. A couple of alluvials owned, but not all of them. Still just getting started off. Then we do have Mateo, who's another player that we've been seeing a little bit more often as of late in the ranked ladder, going to be joining us. Rectified, I believe, is a bot, but I could be wrong, so correct me if I'm wrong. That alongside Crispy Naps and Reload Queen. But we do, of course, have Sir Dexter making a return here onto stream as well. And in regards to everybody else, I'm not 100% sure. A mixture of either newer player to me, or potentially a bot. We'll have to see, but this is at least a 4 out of 8, maybe a 5 out of 8 game. So looking forward to this one. Sanctum Mesa is going to be the region we pick this time, where you can reroll your weapon choices one more time. So any sort of early game or possible mid-game weapon switching, you might be able to get what you want a little bit easier, which is nice for everybody, of course. Let's take a look at the weapons this time to see what everybody is running. Dr. Spoon does have that strike boomerang in hand, that firefighting weapon. Mateo does have the Earth Rogue Gauntlets. This screams Revenant. We'll have to see how it ends up coming about. Damon's got the Earth Scion shield, a Sprout Guard coming on through this time while Sir Dexter with the Sylphid Blade coming on through here, that water fighting weapon, probably, at least according to Illuvalytics, in the, or not the Illuvalytics, but the Illuvivault, in the last little bit of the 20 weapons, I think it's like ranked 18th. It's definitely down there. So I'm curious to see what Sir Dexter's cooking. Rectified Crispy, Sir Button, Reload Queen. We've got the Ripple Flail. We've got the Quake Maulers as well. Flame Warden Staff for the other 2 players down at the bottom. Rolling around here with Dr. Spoon to start things off. It does appear like we do have potentially just a lot of fire as of I start here. Chocoral kind of being used as the main carry of sorts so far in this game. Then Mateo, it's a little bit of a mixture. Finding a Rampy early is kind of a nice find, and they're going to throw the augments onto that one. So that would probably be, at max, a 5% chance to find that, if not a 1% chance to have found that Rampy. They are going to happily accept it, and considering they were going rogue anyway, going to pick that one up quite nicely. Meanwhile, Damon, nice little mixture. We could very well have, if they wanted to, they could have Enchanter right now, if I do recall correctly, because they've got the Cuckaloos online. Let's take a look and see what Damon is doing as they go up against Sir Dexter. So currently this is set up as Dust Invoker. So unfortunately here for Damon, just switching that up, throw it onto the Cuckaloos. You'd have Dust Enchanter, which could be a big help going up against the squad here from Sir Dexter. We do see them paired up with their T-Row for now, their Rue, as they dive on through. That's going to give them, I believe, Slayer to get themselves started off with. And this fight in particular, the Ranger's doing a pretty decent amount of damage, but of course Dust and that big old blind is going to come in and make things extremely difficult. And I think what might have been unfortunate here for Damon, I thought they actually had this one. It does end up causing them to go down. Sir Dexter is going to win this one. Now, Enchanter, I believe a lot of people are saying is just a little bit underwhelming right now. Yes, it does have its effect. It still does, like, hit. It does do at least something, but not enough to truly focus on. So I'm curious if Enchanter would have changed things anyway, but we shall never know. Let's take a look and see what Sir Dexter's going for here as they go up against Rectified. So that is going to be essentially 3 fighters, rogue, just offense. That's basically the name of the game. It's just all offense alongside the Stoic Lynx, which is actually a beautiful one at that level 50. Essentially maxed out on everything except attack speed. So that's going to be a beefy old Lynx right there in the dead center. And with that, there should be able to just absolutely shred on through, I would imagine. Take a look at the damage numbers. Who's kind of leading the charge so far? And it is going to be the Rue leading the charge. And I'll tell you what, for the longest time, I've had the mindset that the Rue line, whether it be T-Rue or any of the evolutions, that their main purpose is essentially just to dive in and die, that they are basically just a meat shield to get Revenant and get Shock if you go for the full evolution. I played a shock game yesterday, and it opened my eyes to a change that they did do to the Rue, where they get a bunch of additional attack damage early on in the fight, at least for a couple seconds. It actually hits somewhat hard now. I was very pleasantly surprised. I felt like I was actually relying on my TP Ruko to actually do some work and not just being a meat shield. So I don't know if I've just been playing it so wrong this entire time during the old patches, or did this new patch actually kind of give the Ruse a bit of a niche here? So I'm actually like pleasantly surprised to see augments being put on to the Ruse as of this moment. Like, we take a look, it just completely assassinated two of them right off the rip here, going up against her button, and it just absolutely cleans house. So not bad. Finding the little foe is a nice little pickup to add on to that fighter squad. But yeah, shoutouts to the Ruse. They're doing all right. I think Enchanter does need a boost. Okay, so I'm not the only one thinking that. All right. Yeah, because it seems like as of this moment, at least, it seems that empaths are kind of crazy. Revenant are taking advantage of the empath's craziness, but Revenant itself, at least to me, might be okay. But then you're saying earlier, JB, that you're also thinking that the 4 toxic style, where you're losing attack damage and healing efficiency, is actually pretty good as well, especially if you get it to level 4. I mean, that's, what, 20% attack damage every 8 seconds, plus healing? I mean, that is pretty debilitating. That might be a way to go. How do I implement this into a Scion build, I wonder? How do I do that? I would need what? Emberling Rod, paired up with Sinolf. And it would still require a chip, though. But I mean, I could at least get 3. And you think Tsunami is currently in a good place. I mean, I'm actually going to lean on you a little bit about that, because you are basically my Axodon extraordinaire, so to speak. Seeing some of the clips and seeing your streams, how heavily you rely on the Axodon. I think you've probably got some of the most experience using Tsunami of all of us here, JB. So if you're saying it's in a good place, I will absolutely believe you. The additional energy regen. I know I got a Tsunami chip in one of my games yesterday. I threw that onto my Duolef, and just watching that thing shotgun beams over and over again, a lot of times it would actually load up on its bar before the cast was even done, which was kind of crazy to see here. We'll roll along here with Sir Dexter one more time as they clean up Crispy Naps nice and quickly. So the 4 water with Toxic and Steam as well, now that the Rake has joined. A very nice one at that, level 50, essentially maxed out, just need a little bit of HP. But a very, very strong Rake here for Sir Dexter. But with that, we'll swap on over to another player. Let's see, who don't I actually get to see too often on stream? It'd probably be either Damon or Mateo. I think we'll hop along here with Mateo in a second. Currently still in progress with their battle versus the Reload Queen. Very even battle, actually, at that. The Axon's up at the front here with the Ranger, trying to get the job done, but it is not going to be enough. Just barely. It's going to be Reload Queen taking the win here onto Mateo. So Mateo's going to end up going up against Crispy. And let's see. What is Mateo building as of right now? So we've got the Rogue Weapon again here on the Ranger, but currently not linked to anything. So not 100% committed as to where they want to go. Where exactly could they go in this instance? I mean, what do they even... They would have Vanguard, but I mean, at the same time, they don't necessarily have a second Vanguard, so they can't even proc it. So yeah, I get it. Mateo's kind of in a little bit of a bubble, at least personally, is what I feel like. You could have the one Revenant, but you're just, again, you have one, but you don't necessarily have enough to actually trigger the boosts. So going to just rely on finding that really early Rampy that we see kind of tearing on through here. Jumps to the skies. I didn't really see a whole heck of a lot of damage come on through. That one did the job, though. Nice little chunk coming out there from Mateo's Rampy. Now with the Riptorus here as well for additional cleanup, this should be Mateo's to win. Let's take a look at that little Rampy. It's just a little guy, but it is leveled quite nicely, 42. And to be fair, it's at least a tanky little Rampy, and it's not like the stats are necessarily like 0. There are some boosts towards their offensive abilities. So yeah, finding this thing early, not bad, as long as it's not the one necessarily being focused, which of course, position it right and you should be fine. But the little Rampy that good is looking quite nice. And how about the Riptor? Heck, that's a decent little Riptorus. So there we go, Mateo on the come up. Let's take a look at Damon going into this next one and see what they're fixing up here. This looks actually like a terrifying little squad here. The Exalted Air Fleece is here, but it's not actually owned, so it's going to be a level 1. We have a handful of tier 0s holding the line here, but let's take a look. We've got the Grucko, we've got the Quink, so a lot of these alluvials aren't necessarily owned here for Damon, but they do at least have synergies, and if there is some sort of team that you can work on that does have at least a lot of tankiness innate, it would be going for air, at least on the energy front. But let's see, of course, you're going up against Dr. Spoon, who of course is like the polar opposite. They have maxed out essentially everything, so even though the team composition might be good, you see the team held the line for a while, but that's where the ownership, and that is where having the levels can definitely make the difference. Dr. Spoon doing a fisher job there, but I do want to run with Damon here one more time against somebody additional. Let's see how they do up against Sir Button and see if we can kind of determine what they're going for, because this team is just pure tank essentially coming on out here. Even though there are Scions and Fighters on the board, it's just trying their damnedest to be able to tank all sorts of energy shots or energy omega abilities or anything along those lines. You've got the dust for the blind and the silence as well, and you've got empath, so when you do inevitably lose some alluvials, you just shield the rest of yours. So I do absolutely like what Damon is cooking here. Let's see how it goes versus Sir Button this time by. Sir Button, I believe, is one of the bots, but of course bots do actually have stats now on some of their alluvials, including this little guy right here that does at least have max attack speed. So let's see, is the ownership problem going to be enough to stop Damon in their tracks? It's actually a very close battle, but it does look like the player here, Sir Button, is going to be able to take them down. I guess another eye-opener that I can tell at least that somebody is a bot. Not normally do we see Dark Hollows on tier 5s. So if I see somebody with a Dark Hollow tier 5, I think that they're probably a bot. Unless it's a player I know for sure, and you actually find a Dark Hollow tier 5, god dang, nice find. Up against the NPC round, let's check in with chat here real quick. The energy refunded from Tsunami. As for Constant Omega is also the M-Line top healer and damage dealer now. The Flood was getting about 10k damage per match with no augments. That's actually kind of incredible. Were you playing that in the back line or in the front line there, JB? Because I've definitely done it before where I've actually put my Flood or my Geyser into the front line as a off tank of sorts, but I've not tried just focusing on the damage side of things. But maybe I should be. Maybe that is something that I'm missing out. Let's hop in here with Damon one more time. They're going up against Sir Dexter, which of course, obligatory. Hello, beautiful. This Stoic Hydralinks coming on through here from Sir Dexter is absolutely gorgeous. We do have maxed out HP and resistances, and considering this thing's a tank, heck, that's basically all you need, but it doesn't matter, it has more anyway. Maxed out movement speed and almost perfect Omega power and attack damage, so that Lynx is an absolute monster. Okay, you did have it in the back line. Okay, gotcha. Or Sir Dexter's team, it has evolved a little bit here. That's changed into 5 water, so we're going to get plenty of supply in regards to energy here for Sir Dexter's team as well. Granted, this squad here from Damon is very good at stopping Omega and just kind of negating Omega damage, but again, just the ownership and the training level here of these Illuvials here for Sir Dexter might just be too much. Damon will get swarmed, and they will slowly but surely find their way out of here, I imagine. Both Damon and Mateo within kill shot here, and this is going to be a tough one here for Mateo. Go over to there one more time, going up against Dr. Spoon, of course, probably highest seed of sorts here in the lobby. We do have the Axodon here. It has a bunch of resistances at least, but otherwise a little bit fallen behind compared to some of the other Illuvials here that we do see from Dr. Spoon. So a decent little team comp. You got the Toxic as well, so you're at least going to be able to stop some of this damage coming on through. But I worry here for Mateo that there's just going to be too much damage too quickly to the point where the Toxic might not be able to trigger. We'll see here in just a second. Dr. Spoon getting ready to move these over, as we do have 5 fire as well, so that is a big 70% attack damage increase, and I don't think it's going to be able to proc. The Toxic has actually finally procced, but again, with the front line just getting destroyed so damn quickly, there's not much you can do. So Mateo shall be falling out of here. GG's nonetheless though, Mateo. Hope we'll see you in the next one sometime soon. But how about Damon? Do they end up beating Rectify to keep themselves into this game? The shields from the empaths are doing exactly what they need to do though, so Damon's going to hang on for just a little bit longer. Got him in the back line blocking your Scions. Okay. Okay, so an interesting little mix of both. So yeah, you have it in the back line, but it's kind of as an off tank for the Scions. I like that. Unfortunately here for Damon, we do see them going up against the ghost of Dr. Spoon, so they're probably not going to be long for this world. But we'll take a look again in just a moment's time. Dr. Spoon probably going to knock out Sir Button here as well. Let's see what Damon can do. How they hold up. Of course, they got plenty of air and they've got all the CC in the worlds, but again, the 5 fires coming out of Dr. Spoon is just absolutely devastating. There's not enough shields in the world here to be able to stop these fire Illuvials from going absolutely nuts. Granted, at least you do have the blind for a second, but again, you still keep charging your energy, you still keep charging your Omega as you're whiffing. So that will cause Damon to get out of here, but they do make it onto the podium, making 3rd here in this game. So we have ascended to some heads-up Illuvium here between Sir Dexter and Dr. Spoon. And at least if we're talking about type matchup, this isn't actually too bad here for Sir Dexter. We have plenty of water on the board, potentially going hyper against the squad here from Dr. Spoon. But both teams are going to be picking up the Revenant, so getting some additional shielding on every single elimination. The only, again, big difference is the 6 fire compared to the 6 water, air compared to toxic, and steam compared to nature. Let's see how this first battle goes on down. Sir Dexter in the red, Dr. Spoon in the green. Blossomite is here for Dr. Spoon, and that is just going to help supplement the absolute critical damage coming on through. Dr. Spoon going to win that one very handily. Got ourselves a bit of an NPC round here this time. So let's take a look economy-wise. How's everybody sitting? I mean, Dr. Spoon has spent it all, but I mean, they are sitting there quite pretty. Level 9 with pretty much all the Illuvials I imagine they would want, with maybe the exception of a Scoriox, but otherwise looking very, very pretty right now. Sir Dexter still has about 46 in the tank. They'll be close to about 60 after this NPC round. Does again have the Revenant. Is that it's still a Riptorus or a Rip Lance? That is just a Riptorus. So I guess a main tank is somewhat sort of, well, I guess, or not a main tank, I was gonna say a main carry, but we do have Umber online. I'm very curious to see how this Umber will perform. Of course, Umber did get a massive change in the latest patch where it no longer goes untargetable. It is now just strictly dodging. And essentially since that, we have seen Umber usage kind of fall off a cliff, especially before we would see the Aqua Blaster, the weapon from for the Ranger. It would come online very often, and anytime you used to see the Aqua Blaster, you'd think Umber, and it performed very well. But now, after that change, Aqua Blaster is 20th out of 20 weapons in terms of win rate. players have not been able to perform with it, have not been able to perform with Umber. Let's see if Sir Dexter's Umber here can get the job done. But a big problem of Umber, of course, is crowd control, getting stunned, as we did see that Jotun do some serious work, and the absolute machine gun Blazonite and Scoriox in the background doing some crazy damage. I was a little bit slow at finding those damage numbers, but I mean, it was much closer compared to the last time, but still wasn't quite enough here. We've got Sir Dexter again, 20 credits in the bank. Dr. Spoon doesn't have anything left. They are one away from finding Scoriox, which would just be the icing on the cake in terms of damage. Meanwhile, here for Sir Dexter, I mean, they at least did steal away a couple of those Furioxes, or the Furies. We do have the Furiox on the bench. Do have the Mule here potentially go for Jokul, but in terms of a big upgrade, the closest thing I think they have right now would be a Rip Lance. They're looking for maybe Goliath into Titanor, but I don't think they're going to be able to find it. Completely out of gas, out of credits. This very well could be the final battle here for Sir Dexter if they cannot find the entryway into that back line. Umber's going to damn well try to find it, and right now it's not targeted, so it's actually in a pretty good spot. It does have the immunity coming out here as well. Dr. Spoon looks mortal. It actually looks like Sir Dexter might have enough to take this run. It is going to be the Lynx holding on to that ramp fight, and there we go. Dr. Spoon is mortal after all. Sir Dexter going to take that round. Holy moly, there we go. As long as the Umber doesn't get focused immediately, maybe there is some hope. Jokul is online. Titanor is online for Sir Dexter. And unfortunately here for Dr. Spoon, still no Furioxes in the tank, but Dr. Spoon can take solace knowing that there is still another round if they do end up falling here. And because the Furiox has been sold to get that Titanor and to get that Jokul, even if Dr. Spoon can't win this one, they can roll for Scoriox next round. But we'll see. Umber does manage to take down the Polar Bear. Does look very good right now again for Sir Dexter. Ramp fight, the last one alive. One more big burst, but you're still not going to be burst through a beetle that big. And with some friends there as well, it's going to tear on through. But this is the scary part. What kind of upgrades can Dr. Spoon find this time by? No more contests. Scoriox is here. This is exactly what I was worried about. The big old danger noodle now here because the Furiox was sold. And potentially, maybe even a Phosphorus or a Seer. Dr. Spoon, even if they lose this round, they do have one more time. We're not that far along in the game where you can get killed at 50. Nope, not a chance. So let's see, this time by, it's just going to be a protect the Scoriox kind of composition. Umber does find a way past the Jokul, or the Jotun, at least off the start. The stun is there, but it's getting focused, and there we go. The Umber is going to go indomitable, but it is going to end up falling because you have 3 Illuvials tanking it, and that is going to be problematic. This is a much more even fight now that the Scoriox is here. These are some good stuns coming out from the Titanor, but even the Titanor has gotten weak, and sure enough, that will be the finishing blow. Sir Dexter will fall in second. Dr. Spoon finding that Scoriox was exactly what they needed for that just a little bit of extra firepower. And with the Umber getting focused, it does end up going down. GG's, everybody. Good game to get us started off with here. Whew. All right, just like last time, next game that does end up starting will be the one that we do end up casting. Let's catch up with chat. I've been a little bit slacking at the end there. So the fast high damage teams are weakness to toxic? Absolutely, yeah, because you actually have to let those proc, not just once even, but you need it to proc just over and over again, right? So you can have toxic, but like a Kiradulo and a Riptorus or a Kiradulo and a Ranger might not be enough to actually let you get those procs 100%. Toxic with full nature and bulwark as the base. Okay. It's an interesting way to do it, absolutely. With your Ranger being mainly either Toxic Aegis or Toxic Harbinger. And then, I mean, I know I see a handful of people complaining about the chances of sorts, of the RNG kind of biting them a little bit. I empathize a little bit, 100%. I know there's been many times, for example, where I'll get myself into the right position in terms of rolling for an Illuvial. Like, a lot of times I sit at level 5, for example, trying to find Tatofi or Sephirus, and I'll have a full set of like 86 credits and do a big roll down, and all of a sudden I have 20 by the time I finally hit Sephirus or something along those lines. But I can't imagine there being a way that the game could tell what you're going for without just directly saying, hey, I'm looking for this, 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 and this. Like making your team planner somehow influence the rolls in the shop. I'm not sure how I feel about that. That's the only way I could see some sort of skewing or some sort of pity system going through, because then how do you balance that while also contesting somebody? Because a lot of times I at least notice when I'm doing my big roll downs, if I don't hit, it's usually because I rolled on something that other players already had. If that makes sense. But I definitely empathize when a roll doesn't work. And sometimes you can absolutely be on the outside looking in. Even though, at least in terms of your strategy, it was on point. But outside factors just doesn't accomplish it. Yeah, and I definitely have to see each individual situation, because, like, I'd argue, like, okay, you're going for spins or going for rolls. Did other people have it? Kind of thing. But I definitely empathize. It hurts either way. Absolutely. Especially if you know there is a couple of them still in the pool and it just doesn't hit. That's absolutely frustrating, 100%. Yeah, because it can be a make or break scenario. Like, again, if I'm at level 5 rolling for Sephirus, nobody else even has a TNT on the board or on their bench, and I'm still not hitting Sephirus's. Yeah, that hurts. Considering I have myself in the best possible level to hit Sephirus or hit Tatofi's, nobody else has them, so there should be plenty in the pool, and still missing. Definitely does hurt a little. We do have an next lobby ready to go here. This looks like another 4 out of 8. All right, let's get into it. We do still have time, I believe, at least for on this kind of pace, we should have enough time for 2 more games. So, still enjoying myself, still having a great time here today. Let's get on through here. And get started in just a second. And then question to the chat, of course, still debating for at least this kind of stream where it's not necessarily truly an esports event, right? I'm just casting a ranked matches. Do you just want music on or music off? I've been keeping it off for the most part here for the streams, but if you'd rather it be on, let me know. I think I have it faintly enough in the background that it doesn't necessarily cause a problem, but it is up to you all in the end, of course. Okay, let's swing on through, switch our scene. We're ranking up live here once again. We've got a couple of returning players, we've got a couple of new players in this lobby, but it's not necessarily new to the stream by any means. Let's take a look. What we've got returning here in this game, we do have Sir Dexter once again placing second in the last ranked game, looking for the gold this time by. And they don't have Dr. Spoon to compete with them this time by, but they do have, of course, some other opponents. Mateo, who had a fantastic run last time with the team that they built as well, or a fantastic run. No, it was Damon that had the top 3 run. Mateo, I believe, was like 5th or 6th, looking for a little redemption rather this time by, going to be trying it out with the fighter style this time. We do have returning for the first time today anyway. It's going to be Hector making an appearance here into this one. They've got the nature empath staff coming on through here. I think I see where this is going, and it could be rather devastating. Looking forward to seeing what Hector pulls off here. And then we have arguably the most aggressive player financially in terms of in-game that I have seen in the entire Illuvium arena, to where Dядя Sanya, I swear they live... What's the movie... What's the movie where if you stop driving, you die? I feel like that's Dядя Sanya, but if your credits are above 10, you die. That seems to be kind of the way they play. They just always spend early, and then do they have the steam to continue going forth? That can sometimes be a problem. But Sanya making a return here for this stream. First time here today. Music is cool, it's low enough. All right, let's pop it back in here then. There we go. In case it wasn't obvious, yes, when I do hit my headphone, when I do hit my ear, that is actually the trigger for my stream music to start playing. So there you go, a little behind the scenes production action. Weapons wise, as we go into this NPC round, let's take a look and see what we got here. We do have, like I was talking about before, Mateo with the water fighter gauntlet here. The Sylphid Blade coming on through, currently linked up with the Flish, so that is going to allow for Arcanite at least early, but they don't have a second Arcanite to truly proc it, at least not yet. Dядя Sanya, let's see what they've picked up. Of course, it's going to be the Lava Garland, that Fire Scion weapon. Probably one of my favorite weapons in this patch so far. I have an awkward style of Steam Scion that I do enjoy playing. Whenever I do hit this weapon, where does Sanya go from here with it? We'll have to see. Currently not linked to anybody. At least not yet. We'll stick to this fight here. We actually have Sanya versus Mateo. Then Hector is going to be, like I was talking about before, picking up that Nature's Empath staff, the Elderwood staff, coming on through. I imagine that's going to be turned into Revenant. That absolutely is already turned into Revenant. Is it actually active? I don't think yet, but they're in position to do so. 90 Hertz is a bot, Control Alt, F Maxed, and Rexol are all bots, I do believe. And then Sir Dexter does have the water rogue weapon. Let's take a look at this battle right here, right now. Mateo versus Sanya. Both pretty heavy on the waterfront, at least off the start, with Mateo having 3 compared to the 2 and 2 here. Poor Sanya has a little bit of firepower as well, but both of them relying onto these lynxes to get some work done relatively early. And right now, it looks like Sanya is going to be able to be the one on top. It is now just down to this Flish, which, while it is rather experienced, a level 31 Flish, that is a 3-on-1. And while a Flish might have fantastic single target DPS, it does struggle in a group scenario. So Mateo going to take a hit this time. Sanya going to move on 4th. I'm going to stick with this battle, actually. We do have Hector coming on through, currently shown as level 5 compared to the level 6 of Sanya. We do have a Kukulus now on the bench here for Sanya. Meanwhile, on the opposing side, we do have the Gorilla coming on through here for Hector, and this is a nice one at that, level 60. Maxed out on everything but Omega power. I imagine this Gorilla is going to hit like a truck. And once Revenant is online and those clones actually start proccing, it could be rather interesting. Like, let's see, does the team get a shield when that clone dies? I think they did. I couldn't really tell off the rip here, but again, it's only a Empath 2. But I do believe you get the buff when you do end up killing the clone. But Sanya's holding their own here, oddly enough. They have the numbers advantage, and that's going to be enough to actually stop Hector in their tracks. Levels are not everything. The numbers game was enough to get the job done quite nicely there. Hector going to take some damage. But again, Hector, I imagine, being one to look for the later this game goes on. It seems like they have the game plans kind of in mind. They're just missing a few pieces before they can truly start going crazy with it. One more time. Actually, no, let's see what's up with Sir Dexter going up against F-Max. Sir Dexter, what are you building? We do have 4 rogues, 3 fighters, all offense coming out of Sir Dexter for this one. They should easily be able to clean up the bot here of F-Maxed and take them down quite nicely. Yeah. Even the little Riptor getting involved. It might just be a little guy, but I mean, those things hurt. That actually gives me a thought real quick. In regards to leveling your stage 1s, what the heck do you guys actually do? Because I find personally that I'm able to level my stage 2s relatively easily in the arena. Like, not super easily, it still takes a long time, but at least the stage 2s are majority of the time getting the most amount of experience on my matches. Stage 3s then get a little bit towards the end, and at least there's more Illuvials it has to battle in those endgame spots, so they do get a decent amount of experience. But what the heck do you do about your stage 1s? I cannot level them worth a damn, it feels like. And I'm having a really, really hard time with that. Alright, now Hector's going to be cooking. The Revenant is now online since the Tiruro is here. A rather nice one at that. It might only be level 33. That's still pretty decent, though. And with stats like that, it is absolutely going to be a menace. Let's see how it ends up going here. Up against Sir Dexter. Sir Dexter was able to completely bombard the empaths that were in the background. But now that the opportunity has come here for the Revenants and the empaths to kind of stack up, is that going to be enough to turn this battle, or is Sir Dexter going to continue to be successful here? The Gorilla is still here, the Ranger is still here, but it's not in a position that it could actually shield its rogues. So we got the fighters splitting up a little bit. Little Rip going after the bottom, but unfortunately here for Hector, the Gorilla is going to go down thanks to this relentless links here from Sir Dexter with 478 health left. I'm going to be able to hold the line. Beautifully done. Take a look and see here in a moment's time as we go through this NPC round to see what ends up getting picked up. Hector finding the Quinks is a nice little pickup, some additional crowd control coming on through here for Hector, and another empath at that, so it's going to be even more menacing when those shields start getting in line. I used to carry the stage 1s in the overworld. Yeah, that's how I remember doing it too. Because I would never actually be able to truly utilize them in the arena, so I'd level my stage 1s in the overworld. And for the most part, I'm actually kind of happy with myself. I've done that for the majority of my stage 1s. The thing that I didn't do, I never leveled up my stage, or no, my stage 1s. I've never leveled up the stage 1s of my tier 4s, 5s, and 0s. So there's a handful of times where, like, say my Squiz, for example. Octius is fine. Octius is like level 40. But Squiz is like 12. And it hurts. And then my tier 0s, I didn't spend enough time with them. None at all. Quake's coming on through here for Sir Dexter as well. So everybody agreeing to get to the empaths, to get the crowd control on 4th here. As Sir Dexter's going to go up against Control Alt Yeet. Let's hop over with Sanya. What are they doing? They're up against X-Max. So let's see what our leader currently is doing. Once again, below 10 credits as per usual. Sanya, I'd expect nothing less. But let's see how long can you keep this up. We do have that beautiful Relentless Hydrolinks coming on through. Do you own that one? Not only do you own that one, that is a devastating little Relentless Hydrolinks. Nice finds there, Sanya. That Lynx is absolutely wonderful. If it could keep itself relatively safe, it might be able to carry some of these fights for maybe a couple more rounds. But going into the late teens or going into the 20s, that is where I worry about the Lynx at least a little bit, because it just doesn't necessarily have the same output as some of these tier 4, tier 5 carries. This will be actually a good example here, going up against Sir Dexter. Sir Dexter did pick up this Arctase. Holy smokes! That is a beautiful Arctase, level 53. Maxed out on stats. It does not get any better than that, except it does. It's hollow as well. It's a shiny. Sir Dexter, good God. That is a beautiful Poodlemoth. And let's see how it does here. That 3 fire, 3 water style coming through, but maxed out on Rogue. So, I mean, you do get a bunch of additional crit chance on all of your shots, but can you just outlast the consistent damage coming out here from these fighters, from that Lynx especially? Arctase is staying rather safe, and now that it's up to the skies and the rest of the fighters and the rogues are actually going to tank the Lynx for the Arctase. That beautiful, beautiful Arctase, alongside the Rue, is going to be able to finish the job quite nicely. And we could potentially have even more coming on through. Did I see another Rue coming on through here for Sir Dexter, or am I seeing things? I don't know if it's just this patch or what, but I feel like the alluvials popping out to the side don't necessarily always match what is actually happening in game, so I get trolled a little bit. We've got Mateo up in the red now, this time up against Sir Dexter. Full water with 2 toxics online, so if they can hang on, they have the solid start as well, so they do buy at least a couple of seconds to maybe negate some of this damage and healing. Has already procced once. Will it proc again in a second? They will finally be able to, but Sir Dexter does already have the stranglehold here onto this matchup. Mateo going to be able to take them down. Too much firepower, even though, again, you do have the sense of a type matchup with waters going up against fire. Fire still has that time, not only before toxic comes out, but before hyper actually triggers as well. Hyper doesn't immediately just come onto the fight, right? So that has to charge as well. So sure, you might be, I guess, super effective against me, but the best sort of super effectiveness is, for me, is if you're already dead. So the fire is going to be able to negate that, as we now have Hector and Sir Dexter going up in this next battle. I want to see this one, absolutely. We do have an additional Vermilio into the bench here for Hector. Can see maybe a Spore spinoff coming up in a second. We do already see Hector's lined up for it. Pairing up with the Revo, it does allow for Spore Revenant, so adding an additional Spore Revenant, that would make for, I believe, oh no, not for, because I forgot that Verminio themselves is already a Revenant. But being able to add an additional Spore for some additional debuffing would be rather crazy. The Arctase there for Sir Dexter's in a pretty good spot, but it's stuck one-on-one-ing the Ranger, who again just has absolutely unpenetrable shields. Even if you're critting, it does not matter. There's just shields for days. Not a red health bar in sight there for that Ranger, because it's all white, it's all silver, and that just delayed that Arctase so badly. Kind of acting like a tank of sorts here on the squad. Hector absolutely making this Revenant style work. And I remember seeing Hector in the chat saying like, oh, I feel bad, I won't use this against other people anymore. And I get it, but at the same time, it's not like this is a bug. It's not like last patch where you can intentionally stack 3 of the synchronizing pulse reactors and glitch the game and break the game so bad that you one-tap other opponents. That's not how the game was meant to be played, and doing something like that, like, okay, sure, I get that, and feeling bad for that. But no, I don't see this anywhere near as egregious. It's probably the best team in the game right now. It's not that it's bugged or broken in the sense that it's not working as intended. You're not exploiting anything. You're just using a team. as much as I hate playing against it, it's not like you're cheating or you're not doing something the game didn't intend. I kind of have the same like mindset towards Bloom right now. For whatever reason, Bloom to me feels really, really good as well, because I'm seeing Maluras or Phosphoruses with what feels like 15k, 20k health at the end of a fight. But again, that's just the nature of Bloom, right? It gets stronger and tankier over time. There is counterplay, it's just burst it. Much easier said than done, but it's how the game was intended. This next one, we do have Sanya versus Hector. Let's see if Hector can keep the winning going. Does level up to a gyro as well, so a nice little find there for Hector. But Sanya is still kind of relying on to that Lynx to be the main DPS. It's getting blinded, it's getting silenced, and it does not have the damage to get through the shields coming out here from Hector. The stabbing is going to try Stamnus to get involved, but it's not going to be enough. These wins here for Hector are looking much, much stronger now. Having the dust aspect on top of it too to stop these other fighters and stop these spellcasters from doing anything is quite the nice little setup there for Hector. But now let's take a look at our top two currently in this lobby. Sir Dexter up against Jaja Sanya. Again, like we we're just seeing in that last one, Sanya might be losing a little bit of steam. Meanwhile, on the contrary here for Sir Dexter, they just gained it. Steam is online now that this beautiful rake has joined the squad, to the point where the rake is actually going to take place of the Arctase. The Arctase gets a little bit of time off right now, going to be on the bench. But is there any sort of blinding this time? No, it will allow for this Lynx to absolutely do work. Chops through the Joko like it's nothing. Is doing some serious work onto the rake up until this Riptorus just came on through with a perfect suppressing fire, that sting, and shuts them down. Big damage coming out here from Sir Dexter's Riptorus. Absolutely shutting down that Lynx and keeping the rake alive. So Sanya, the bleeding is going to continue here for them. And we'll lose our final bot here probably in just a second. The 9 Hertz Legend going up against Sanya. So at least for Sanya, it's the best possible opportunity to maybe stop the bleeding of sorts here. But I do worry about Mateo. Mateo's going up against the ghost of Sir Dexter, so that'll be troublesome. But the 90 Hertz Legend actually just picked up an Umber. Granted, of course, this team's actually kind of scary though. Hang on a minute. The levels might not be there, but that's also a Rip Lance. There's some damage on this team. Sanya will have their work cut out for it, but at least they have the level advantage. Let's see what they can do. Because if these Lynxes hit the right targets, then they can blow them up rather quickly. And I think they are actually going to be able to at least get the Rip Lance off the board. They still have to deal with the Umber, which does, of course, have that cleaving AoE, but it does not have the firepower to truly get it ult. Heck, even the 90 Hertz Legends, they know how to make the Umber of ult. Was that the 2 untargetable stacks onto that Umber? I mean, the bot actually kind of cooking. But they will end up falling anyway again. But now, Mateo had a much better game compared to the first one we saw here on stream. But now that they've cracked into the top 4, it is getting extremely tough from here on out. Only 4 HP as they go up against Sir Dexter. Could potentially have a Gaza tap on the way. Another Quinks is here. We have the one on the board already holding the line quite nicely. Exalted Fleesh is going to be the main carry in terms of the augments, but unfortunately it does not have anything in regards to augments, which is absolutely heartbreaking. You've got this Riptorus right here that I'm sure would absolutely love to have some DPS augments and have what the Fleesh is having, but with the Fleesh immediately just going to get popped by that rake, it's all going to be for naught. Granted, you do still have the ramp fight up into the corner. If they get themselves a good Omega, it could be problematic, but look at that. The Omega comes out right as all the Alluvials leave. Can they get one more ramp fight shot to the skies? How much damage does it do? It does take out the one, but it's not going to be enough. Mateo shall fall here. An improvement compared to the last game, but they shall fall in 4th. NPC round as we get to our podium competitors here. Hector leading the charge, Sir Dexter right behind them. Both of them at the beginning of this round were above 100 credits. They are absolutely rich. On the contrary, Sanya, 1 credit and a dream, just spending like an absolute madman as per usual, but hanging on for now. They've at least got themselves up to level 9, so I mean they've got that in their pocket, but in terms of maybe trying to find that end game alluvial, that end game carry, there maybe could be some potential problems. We'll roll here with Sanya as they do have to go up against Sir Dexter. They're not the ones going up against the ghost. Where does Sanya go from here? What are they even trying to build to try and get kind of the finishing blow here of sorts to keep themselves into this game? Like, they don't necessarily are, I wouldn't say that they're in a position to get any sort of stage 3s. Their Ranger is currently not linked to anybody, so some value is going to be missing on the board. Meanwhile, Sir Dexter, we know this is a crazy squad, especially with the Rake is pretty well uncontested over on the left-hand side. The links here for Sanya is doing a pretty decent job, but the silence coming on through here from the dust is going to seal its death warrant. Will take it down. And with only 2 more left to go here, Sanya is going to take a major hit. Not enough to take them out, but enough to the point where they're now going to be on death's door. And Hector, 123 credits in the bank. Are they just waiting for, like, what are they even waiting for? Are they just maybe waiting for Sanya to go down to try and then get the slash in? Considering they're only level 8 as well, maybe that is the play. And then for Hector, who are they going up against? Going up against Sir Dexter. So, I mean, that might be the play, but it actually might cost Hector a lot of health here to have to wait for that. Sanya is going up against Hector's ghost. And even that I don't think is a guarantee. Hector is actually spending a little bit. Let's quickly take a look and see what's going on here. They are so close. They do have a stab in onto the board. They have nearly a Vermilier as well. They do find Malura. That's a nice little pickup. A nice one at that, only missing movement speed. But again, as long as you're positioning Malura, you don't care about Malura's movement speed. So I'd argue that is a perfect Malura. Let's take a look at the battle at hand here. They do have Spore now online as well, since the Adorito is here for Hector. So of course, with that, Spore making any attack, or on any feints, attack damage and Obanga power does go down for about 5 seconds. Could absolutely change the course of battle if things go their way. And shielding wise, it's looking all right. Stabbin is doing a lot of work, but it could very well get turned on here in just a moment's time. That Appon is doing a decent job of crowd controlling, and that is going to actually allow for the squad of Hector, even though they don't necessarily have their carries locked in just yet, to do enough damage, beat Sir Dexter. And now that Sanya is gone, this means that all the penguins are here. They're back in the shop. A Goliath online as well here on the bench here for Hector potentially. And Hector is going to spend everything they have onto leveling up to level 10 actually, instead of rolling for the penguin, which is quite interesting here for me, because they could have also potentially gotten themselves Vermilier. But being able to add that Goliath onto the field is quite nice. So getting that 5 Earth for some additional physical resistance is going to be rather helpful anyway. But let's see how well can Sir Dexter hang on now that the blind has taken effect. Just charms and crowd control all over the place. And right now, it's looking rather good here for Hector. I think the numbers game, the Swarm, is pretty strong, but it's not necessarily unbeatable. This is a very close and even fight. The Ranger completely uncontested here for Hector, and it looks like finally the Rogues find their opportunity to go in and strike big. And that puts some big damage here on the Sir Dexter. One more loss. Where do they go from here? We do see Umber is right around the corner. Geyser is here now for a little bit of a backline tank. The Umber is here for Sir Dexter. So is the Jotun. But on the other side here for Hector, Familiar is also here. That is another Spore. That's a third Spore unit onto the board. Both players have spent everything they have had in the tank. And let's see, the one thing that's clear, Empaths and Rogues seem to be the way to go, alongside some Revenants. The difference, fighters compared to Vanguard. That is the choice here for this finale, but could potentially be the final game or final round here if Sir Dexter cannot survive. But with all these Rogues stuck onto that Geyser, that's actually a pretty good sign here for Sir Dexter. Can they get some work done now that the dust has settled? The gyro has been focused. It's surrounded by so many, but there you go. It rolls out of the way. Umber is in a pretty decent spot off to the right-hand side, but now that the gyro's kind of trapped it in, it's making things awkward. The Umber can't go anywhere. And I can't even tell who's on the green team right now because I can't see any green. All I see is white here on this side of Hector, because these shields are just so damn powerful. But we still have the Jotun. The Jotun just cracked out on shields as well. It's not going down. It's going to require these overtime pulses. But the Familiar and the Stabbin', they are still alive. They're still here. That will take Sir Dexter out of here. Hector going to win our second casted game here of the day. GG's, everybody. Hector came in with a game plan and they absolutely performed on it. Was looking for a Spore Revenant right off the rip. Grabs that Elderwood staff and was already paired up with the Revo as soon as they got it. It was like round 6 and they had that Spore style of Revenants locked in. So many debuffs, so much shields, and so much crowd control. This Rogue team does definitely feel like it has it all. But it was a rather well-crafted plan. GG's. Took a little bit longer here to find that first game. This second one wasn't too bad. Might have time for 2 if we're lucky, but we're already breaking on to 11:30 my time, or almost 11:30 here my time. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to squeak in 2. So this could potentially be the final game here of the day of the stream. Next game that goes live will be the one casted. Last game started about 10 minutes ago, so I think we're primed and ready to get one in just a second. Yeah, I had to change the stream time here, because normally I've been doing 3:30 my time, but I had something kind of interesting come up in regards to a potential opportunity that I've not had the opportunity to do in a while. So my local esports arena, as a part of Pokemon Day, are having a bunch of games going down. So there's like tournaments happening for Pokemon Unite, Pokemon, the TCG, but then also for Pokemon VGC. And I did not realize that for VGC, they went back to Regulation F, like that the rules format as to which Pokemon are allowed. And the last Pokemon tournament I've ever competed in and built a team for was Regulation F. So it's of course that local esports arena. It's my old work. It was my old job, broadcasting for it. So it's been a year. I think it's finally time to get some closure onto everything that happens there. Because at the end of the day, I still love esports. I still love casting. And I'm tired of looking at it with anger. So no better opportunity, I guess, to kind of get closure on that entire saga than to go in there with another game that I love, of course, with it being Pokemon, the genre that I love with Pokemon, and be a competitor for the first time in a while in the VGC side of things. Well, this actually worked out big time for me. I'm very, very, very happy. Looking forward to breaking the anxiety that I have. Forgive and forget, exactly. That's what I'm hoping. I'm tired of not being vengeful, because I'm not doing anything to actively, like, make things difficult for them. I haven't been in contact with any of them. But just to try to have some sort of fun. At least in person, it's been a while. Illuvium, of course, has blessed me with a lot, and it's all been online. Me physically going out somewhere, it's been a while. And which, again, I know I said it at the start of the stream, so it's going to be a little repetitive for some of yous. But of course, the Pokemon Direct did happen over the, or just an hour prior to the stream happening. And of course, I'm a fan of Pokemon as well. I'm a fan of Illuvium too. If I'm ever talking positively or talking about casting or playing Pokemon, that isn't meant to be translated into, he hates Illuvium now. No. Further from the truth. If anything, I want my enjoyment and my love for Pokemon to hopefully eventually one day be able to expose more people to Illuvium. If that makes sense. So I promise you, as long as this game's still kicking and it's still ethical and I still enjoy my time with Illuvium, I'm staying here. No matter what Pokemon does. Promise you that. Still just waiting on another game to get loaded up here. I imagine they have to be close to getting one started here. Oh. We'll see if I could do a Pokemon Yap real quick, though. We'll see. I'm excited because the team that I did make for Regulation F is kind of troll. Way back in Sword and Shield, in one of the first formats ever, you used to be able to do something with Colossal, where it had an ability where if you hit Colossal with either a fire or a water type move, you would get 6 stages of boosted movement speed. And to give yourself a weakness policy and hit yourself with water, then you also give it a bunch of damage. So it's a very gimmicky team. But I brought that over to Scarlet and Violet, and that was the last Regulation F team that I've played, and that was the last time I ever touched Pokemon. So that was probably like a year and a half ago. But that team is legal now. So that's going to be my fun here for today. Outside of the stream, of course, which of course I'm always having fun casting Illuvium. We had 2 fantastic matches off the start here. Look for one more good one to close us off here for today. And while I don't have a graphic ready for the stream for next week, my YouTube channel does kind of spoil what the plan is, and it's going to be a lot of what we had this week as well. Monday is going to be my training day. It's a new season. I did get a little bit of time in. I did my placements. I was as high as 8th yesterday, but I have dropped down to 18th, and honestly, I am probably going to drop more because, again, I'm just running Scion. My Scions are not max level, not anywhere near close, and the let's just say my team has a very hard time naturally with what the meta currently looks like. So optimally, as more players play the game and more people pick up Empaths and Revenants and all good jazz, I imagine I shall be passed. But at the very least, I will keep competing and keep leveling my Illuvials up, because if there's one thing that is quite nice about my team being seen as bad right now, it means that I'm never contested. So I can play the greedy way of my team where I sit at level 5, get Sephoris, still have enough credits to slow level into level 9, get Sinolf, potentially get Squiz, or go for a Scoriox, depending on what's available. and my units are usually never contested. The only one that might be is like Sinolf, because you can kind of splash Sinolf in onto just whatever. Oh, well, that was weird. Did anybody else see the buttons disappear there for a second? But with that, I'm at least able to use the team that I want for the most part. Unless people are actively trying to stream snipe me, which then in that case, that's okay too. Because I still need to remember how to play when I'm contested. Because I tell you what, the last couple of months post-IPL have given me a lot of bad habits in regards to how to play. Because there's been many times where it's like, I feel like I can slow everything. Like, I can go all the way up to level 5, slowly roll and stay at max interest and be completely safe, get my alluvials just fine, level up, and then eventually just kill the field once I get to level 9. But again, majority of the games at that time was maybe versus 1 or 2 other players, and the rest were bots. And those bots, of course, not actually having any levels or stats onto their alluvials. So now that people are slowly but surely starting to come back a little bit, and then when more inevitably do, whenever rewards or something, or a tournament or some sort of actual reason outside of just leveling your alluvials comes into the game, I imagine that I will have a much harder time. And that's a good thing. I need to relearn that a little bit. And while I may be at the top of the leaderboards, I might subtle brag about it every once in a while, but the thing is I know that I'm not the best. I will never claim to be, because I am far from it. I've been around a long time to the point where I can maybe help guide newer players in the right direction, and it's kind of a similar nature to what I used to do at my old work. I can get you your starting point into being a broadcaster, or I can get you your starting point in regards to Illuvium. I can teach you a lot of things about it, but that opportunity, when you want to take it to the next level and take it to, say, professional, that is where I, with open arms, will say, like, I might not have that information for top level competitive knowledge, or I might not have that top technical know-how around all these other technological production styles. So I'm content with that. I'll give you your start, get you your footing, and then hopefully by that point where you have your footing, you can create your own path. That's always been my way of doing things, and I think it'll fit nicely with what I'm doing here with Illuvium. We have a lobby. Might be a smaller one, but that's okay. We'll finish off strong. Oh, no, we did end up losing one, it looks like. Unfortunate. And of course, it's on Abyssal Basin, too, so you're going to notice, like right here, right now, that anytime we get the Abyssal Basin map, it is going to lag unbelievably. Okay. If that was Predator's first introduction to the game and it was on Abyssal Basin, I genuinely feel bad. Because that seeing the negative 99, so they got into the game and just immediately quit. Huh. Shout out to the kiddos on the other side of the door if you heard that. Yeah, I'm heartbroken. And especially if Sir Dexter and Sanya were timing out a lobby to actually get casted. I don't know if I can cast this, if that makes sense. Huh. Because, yeah, it's not even going to let me... Oh, boy. Okay, we're going to pause for a second, unless... Let's see. Sanya, do you have a skin active? No. Sir Dexter, do you have one? It's all just showing me the Abyssal Basin one. Well, that's kind of brutal. Here, well, I'm going to give it 1 second here, see if Sanya or Sir Dexter do have a battle board online. Because I don't know, that's kind of tough. I'll be keeping my eye out here for another game that potentially go up here as well. And this is a 2 out of 8 game as well, now that Predator did end up going, so that's definitely frustrating. Oh, double silent. Don't mind me. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to get out of this one. Just anytime it goes to another, or anytime it goes to the Abyssal Basin, it's going to be completely uncastable. Which puts me in a bit of a pickle. Because I do feel bad that if Sanya and Sir Dexter lined up to get casted, and that's the match they got, that's not in their control, and I do feel extremely bad. But I need to actually be able to see what's going on. So here's what I will do. I'm going to fire open 0 here for a second, but I'm going to keep an eye on the Data Kings to see if another game does start. And of course to Sanya and to Sir Dexter, of course, absolutely nothing personal to the two of you. In fact, I absolutely love that you are in a lot of the lobbies that I do end up casting. But I literally cannot see what is going on. And I wouldn't be able to do you justice. I'm thankful that at least the team is aware of that issue. I know personally I sent a bug report to the team about Abyssal Basin being unplayable. And they did respond saying that it's being investigated and they're trying to work on it. I know that Discord's also been rather vocal in regards to that that map being unplayable. So I'm hoping for something fixed up sooner rather than later. Or just completely remove Abyssal Basin from the pool, because, yeah, that is unplayable. Completely unplayable. And especially not streamable. Which is definitely unfortunate, because there's not like there's a way that you can veto maps either. But at the same time, the player base is so small that you couldn't really implement that feature properly. Huh. I definitely don't envy being a dev. It's hard work. Yeah, so in the meantime, we did just get another game, but that's a casual. That's a casual. It's not actually a real one. Okay. I was gonna say, this looks like a 1 out of 8, but no, it's a casual game, so that's fair. That's where you go to train. That's not meant to be streamed. So I'll wait a couple more minutes here. And I guess I'll kind of reiterate on some of the stuff that I said at the very start of the stream. So one thing to take notes for any of those watching on X or on Twitch, I do need to make some financial cuts, which includes restream. So with that, I will not be doing any more streams on Twitch for the platform, the way that it behaves itself, but then also due to the restream issue. And then for X, just unfortunately could not afford restream. So I'm going to be strictly doing things on YouTube starting in March until things get a little bit better over here for me personally. The ship is it's a tight ship, to say right now. And I still want to be able to do this, and I just can't. Or I just have to make some cuts, unfortunately. Nothing that anybody on X did wrong, or nothing that any of the people did wrong by any means, but I just have to be careful of what I'm doing as of late. We do have a ranked game, and okay, that's better. Okay, there we go. We got a Crimson Waste game coming up. All right. Again, massive apologies in particular here to Sir Dexter and to Sanya if they were trying to queue up to get casted, and it ended up being on Abyssal Basin, which of course has that massive lag problem. Nothing you did wrong, I promise you that. Just I literally could not watch the game. But here we go, final game of the day. All right. All good, all good. Let's take a look here. Our final game of the day ends up being, I believe, a 5 out of 8 this time by. So there we go. One thing I'm happy to see as we take a look at our players going into this game, Predator has returned. So I guess they saw that it was Abyssal Basin, quit it out, and queued up again. And honestly, fair enough. Definitely get that. But then everybody else in this one is brand new to the stream, at least here today. We've not seen them in their previous matches. We have Nocacho, we have Abra, Antoshino, and Warrior Race coming on through. Then Dead Chat Sam, Blind QTE, and Buffer Baby are your bots here for this matchup. As we just hit level 4, we'll have weapons to go over here in just a second. But let's take a look at the region as we see Nocacho about to get taken down here by Predator. And I'm thankful that it was just the first time of me seeing Predator and that they weren't new to the game. So I'm very thankful to see that. But in terms of the region, players starting at level 3, just going to jumpstart that economy a little bit quicker in terms of what alluvials you see, how quickly. And let's take a look as we have our current leader Antoshino going to be going up against Dead Chance Sam the bot. As we take a look at weapons going into this one, we do have the Empath Mauler coming on through, the Earth Empath Shadow Maul here for Antoshino. Warrior Race does have the Tempest Lance, that's the air bulwark weapon. Dead Chance Sam and Nokacho actually picking up the Aqua Blaster. Looking forward to seeing what they cook up. Again, currently, Aqua Blaster being labeled as the worst weapon in the game statistically by win rate. Predator going to be here with the Grove Sword. That's your Nature Fighter weapon. The Buffer Baby Bot going to have the Elderwood Staff. Abra also having the Nature Fighter Sword. And then Blind having the Ripple Flail. I don't think I missed anybody. Did I by chance? No, think so. We're all's good. One player that I'm going to absolutely be taking a look at throughout this game is going to be Abra. We've kind of touched on them in the last stream that we casted, being at least rather new to me, but I've been seeing them a lot more on the ranks ladder as of late. And one thing it seems like they do constantly, their main team is revolving around Kukaloos, or the Kukarath, being their main carry in a all-air with Spore kind of style team. I'm going to look forward to see what Amber does here. I think they've kind of set themselves up for success, picking the Grove Sword as well to maybe play into a Spore variant of that team. But we do see Antoshino taking them down. And what are they doing? Absolutely, it's going to be the Dust Revenants coming on through here for that Ranger, linking up once again with the Rota to just be able to put the blinds and put that silence onto everybody. And that will be absolutely devastating to watch. Let's take a look and see at everybody else. Warrior Race doing their best Sanya impression as of right now. Completely spent the bank. Same thing with Predator, actually. That is a lot of spending earlier into this game. But I guess with air units and grass units looking like they're going to be kind of contested, it seems like they're kind of racing each other here a little bit. And then Nokacho, even though they have that Aqua Blaster, they are linked up with the Kukaloos. So Abra trying to find Kukarath this game might actually be a very tough task. I'll have to see how that goes. Let's take a look at Warrior Race, what they're going up against. Up going against Buffer, Bread, up against Antoshino. Let's take a look at this one. Again, Antoshino we recognized as our Rogue Revenant player of this game, it seems. Predator, mixture of water and nature, but we do have the Scion links coming on through, the Arcane links. However, Predator does not actually own said Illuvial, so it is going to be level 1. Granted, its Omega just off the bat does hurt pretty decently, but with there being no stats onto that Arcane links, we'll have to see how much can it actually chunk. I mean, it does about a quarter HP to a lesser Appon, but again, that's just a lesser Appon. That's going to be a little bit scary the longer this game goes through. There is a little bit of burst damage. They might be able to hold the line for the time being, trying to focus down this Rota. And Rota is actually trolling, lines things up rather beautifully. So now it's just a Lynx and the Atipo going up against the Appon. I don't think the Appon's going to be long for this world, as another shot comes on through, gets the remaining damage. And that little level 1 Lynx there from Predator is going to be able to get the job done. Let's see if we can find player up against player. It's going to be Abra up against Nokacho. Both players have Kukalooses as of this moment, and right now, this is kind of the style that I do see pretty often here from Abra. They are not afraid to put tank augments onto the Kukaloos and just kind of rely on snowballing damage from other sources to really get the job done. Meanwhile, here for Nokacho, got the 3 empaths online. I mean, both of them have the 3 empaths online, but Nokacho does have Enchanter. So we'll see those pink flashes come on through here in just a moment's time. And given so many of the Illuvials from Abra were actually directly on top of Nokacho's team, that might have actually did a pretty decent amount of damage, which is going to allow for Nokacho to absolutely run over Abra in this instance, takes them down. Predator wins their game, it looks like, up against one of the bots. Meanwhile, Warrior Ace continues to have a flawless game up at the top there. We'll follow up with Warrior Ace here in just a moment's time as we go into this next round. We'll take a peek at least at what Warrior Ace is cooking. They're going up against one of the bots, so we're going to probably move in a second. But we just have a bunch of air, bunch of bulwarks, bunch of empaths. No big carry truly assigned. It's just going to be the Lynx as of right now, and a very high level one hollowed out. Meanwhile, we do have the Verminio. That's the closest thing that we have to a carry here for Warrior Ace, but they've been able to hold the line quite nicely. Let's go back over here to Nocacho and Antoshino. Two of our players going up against each other right here, right now. The Lura is going to immediately get stopped from using its cast, so that big charm isn't going to necessarily do anything. But the blind and the silence might make it to where, even though it's sitting at no HP, okay, it does end up going down. It does end up getting stunned out, and then the Enchanter Burst kind of also finished it off. The Cuculus here for Nocacho, very low, but Antoshino is still looking very, very good. Then, of course, the Cuculus did get a change in the latest patch, where it's stun. It's like 3 to 4 seconds now. It's a very long stun. It was already a long stun before, but it got extended, so you can truly take Illuvials just completely out of the fight the longer that you can keep yourself in the fight. So that Cuculus here for Antoshino and the rest of the squad doing a fantastic job here in this fight. Nocacho going to go up against Deadshot. So let's take a look. See Antoshino going up against the bot as well. Warrior Ace going up against Predator, our top two currently in this lobby. Lots of nature here for Predator. Meanwhile, on the other side, lots of air to counteract the shots coming out from that beautiful Arcane Floor Lynx. But again, it does not have any levels on it. So it's just going off of baseline DPS. Meanwhile, the TNT on the other side, not too bad, but I hate to see when a TNT has its top stat being movement speed, considering it does not move really at all. We'll have to see how it goes on through. Good little chunk coming out here from that Arcane Floor Lynx. Does end up bursting down the Atlas, but now they've got to turn on to some of these more threatening units, including that Stabbin that we do see walking right on in front of the TNT. It's going to be able to burst it down before the next cast. The damage reduction is going to be enough to actually let that cast come on through. Some decent damage coming on out. But now with it only being up to the Arcane Floor Lynx and the Atipo, I think the Stabbin's going to be rather healthy, especially since it's not in the line of fire from that cast from the Lynx. So Predator going to take the hit. Warrior Ace continues the flawless streak, opting for a air-heavy Vanguard composition, with, of course, a little empath and bulwark here as well. But NPC round, let's see, credit check, what everybody's sitting at. Let's see. Abra is currently or almost the richest one in the lobby. Antoshino, actually, the richest one in the lobby, currently sitting with 88 credits. Now down to 86, so plenty in the bank here. Abra looks like they did make a switch potentially in regards to what team comp they were going for. Now opting for the Flame Warden staff, and getting the Tiru is going to allow them to go for maybe another Revenant kind of style. So let's see, how many is that here in this game? Potentially 3 Revenant users going into this game. But what's probably more alarming is just the amount of Empath users. Again, we're talking a lot about Revenants, but I truly think that Empath is the problem. At least to me personally, that's where the problem lies. We're going to blame Revenants, but it's Empath, I think that's the problem. As we're going to see Warrior Ace go up against Abra, and let's see what this new squad can do. We do see 4 Empaths on board here. The Cuculus is still kind of being labeled as the carry with all of these augments on it, but now getting the double Gorilla. This is kind of what I've been seeing a lot of players doing. Because again, if the Revenant and Empath gets triggered off of Gorilla clones, then you can start proccing those without actually losing any Illuvials. Start getting those buffs, And that is absolutely something I hope gets fixed sometime soon, because those are some big buffs that are supposed to be comeback mechanics, not abusable, or not necessarily abusable, but not off of a clone. You shouldn't be getting those buffs off a clone. That being said, Warrior Race is going to be able to shut them down. They do have a handful of more either later tier alluvials or leveled up alluvials, or evolved alluvials rather. Nice little pickup at the end of that one though. Chikondi is now online here for Abra. So I'm curious to see what they end up doing with it. They're going up against Predator. Well, Predator meet Predator as long as the Chikondi can find a way onto the field. Exalted Gorilla has been ascended to here for Abra. Nice little pickup. I imagine that leaves them another space on the board where they could potentially bring in that Chikondi. Now, Predator might not necessarily have that execution damage that we were used to, but it does at least do bonus damage off the rip and then off of every single takedown. So a little bit different. But they actually opt to bring in, I believe it was the Rue, to bring in Revenants. So Empath Revenants coming on through once again. This time it's going to be Abra trying to capitalize on it with that Exalted Gorilla potentially bringing the shields. But a lot of the alluvials here for Abra are taking some serious heat early. So the shields and damage amplification have already really been triggered as of this moment. But can the Gorilla and the rest of these alluvials make the comeback? They do manage to get one more clone down, so it's going to be one more proc of the shield and damage. A 2-on-4, actually the Apon's still here, so a 3-on-4 in the favor of Predator, and so far they've been able to burst down the Vermelia, but the Vermelia did get one final cast before going down. There's the shot from the Arcane Lynx, though, going to be able to stop that Kukulus from running amok. So now it's just a matter of dealing with the Apon. They'll absolutely be able to do that, and it shall be shut down. Predator gonna win that one. Abra going to end up falling now up against Antoshino. In regards to Antoshino's team, it's been, again, this is more of the dust variant of Revenant coming on through, but it does make it a little bit irritating. One of the bots actually, Buffer Baby, stole the Gazatep. So those trying to get full dust, trying to go for Winxes, the bot's kind of shutting you down right now. So a little bit unfortunate there for the players that even the bot is contesting it at this point here. But let's see how this one does end up going. Rogue Revenants versus Rogue Predator Empath, with the 5 empaths online here for Abra. So they are definitely getting the maximum amount of shields every single time an alluvial falls or one of those Gorilla clones falls, as we see the Gorilla up in the top looking great, but everything else has just fallen. It's all onto this Gorilla to somehow 1v9 potentially. This is a very troublesome spot, and with the taunt, with the stun, absolutely stun locked. You're not going to be able to get away from there. Perfect little CC chain coming on through for Antoshino. Had the numbers advantage, looks like they had the firepower advantage, and it's going to knock Abra down a peg one more time, to the point where a bad loss could very well see them out of this game early. Although Abra does have a bunch in the bank still, but at this point here, sure, you might be going up against the bot, but again, the bots might even have some okay alluvials to go up against you. But going up against Dead Chat, I have faith that Abra will be able to take them down there. So I'm going to try and take a look and see at another matchup where our two players are actually competing, and it looks like we do have no Cacho versus Antoshino currently going on. 5 Earth now online here for the red side for Antoshino. So with the air as well, so this is a very tanky squad. The Polar Bear here on the green side, though, is going to essentially get to attack for free now that that's stunned, and now the blind came on through, though. That is very problematic. The Kukulus has its attention. It's trying its damnedest to survive, but it's not going to be enough. And it's going to be some heavy, heavy damage. Big win for Antoshino. Taking out no Cacho. Quickly going to try and take a look at just why is this team so damn dominant. And it seems to be the tank line that has the most experience. Nearly level 60 on a couple of those. But yeah, most of these alluvials, like, these aren't super powered alluvials. like the tanks are close to maxed out, but the DPS are not quite, so they're just able to hold the line quite nicely, with the exception of the Chikoro that I was hovering there at the very end, up into the 50s, looking good. Now that we hit an NPC round, credit check. Let's see what's going on across the lobby. Abra was able to survive, but again, they're still sitting at a very low level, all things considered. Currently level 6. They got the Chikondi, they've got the Exalted Gorilla. Heck, they've even got the Verminio at this point here, but where do you go? Because if they're sitting at such a low level to try and get the Kukuraf that I'm sure they want, the fact that that Kukuraf was so damn contested in this game might actually be their death nail. So I'm curious to see how this will go. This, in theory, should be a big round going up against Predator. And this is tough. You actually have the Rue on the bench ready to go. It's only a level 1, but you could, in theory, maybe get Shock involved here if you really wanted to. You could go for Shock Revenant. Or no, I'm getting that wrong, am I? Where's the air? Yeah, you're missing a piece there to actually get that off. So don't listen to me, I'm a liar. But the Kukuraf, they're 2 Kukas away from being able to get there. Or are they confident that they can somehow still win? They hit level 7, they put the Rue onto the board, and gave it a bunch of augments, and maybe that's going to be enough to turn this into their favor. Because of course, those Rues, they do actually have a good chunk of damage, at least off the start, but they eventually do fall off. So it does get pops relatively early. That blind's coming out though from the Chikondi, did a pretty good job. Of course, that blind duration and distance is much better, and this was actually a crazy fantastic call coming out here from Abra, not spending the bank, just confident that they could take out Predator, which they did, and now they get some additional economy because of it. Now going up against Warrior Ace. Warrior Ace finally starting to fall now that Antoshino seems to have gotten some steam. But still a very tough player to go up against. Abra 105 in the tank. Do they spend or do they risk it and try to play the greedy style? A little bit is being spent as of right now, but currently it's just going to be into levels. Level 8 is currently going to be where they're going to sit. I see in the chat, in regards to changing views, 1 to 4, I believe, have a couple of different angles that you can go for. So 1 to 4 on your keyboard. But see, 5 air coming out here from Warrior Ace up against these Rogue Revenant style once again from Abra. But as of right now, the Rue did a much better job of staying alive, and Chikondi is still sitting pretty. As the numbers are going all up against Warrior Ace. What happened to Warrior Ace? The steam that they had, the momentum is absolutely frozen to a halt. Which, oddly enough, they do have Frost online as well, which is like toxic, but for Omega power and energy. And I guess Abra's team just did not care about your energy. This is a very strong, like, anti-Scion, anti-Omega team coming out here from Warrior Ace. But I'd argue there's a lot of physical damage that's being done that might be outshining the way that it's currently showing up, if that makes sense. We do have, again, Abra up against Antoshino. Antoshino's level 10, and they still have a decent amount of credits. So it's going to be all about these tier 5 rolls at this point whenever they feel like pulling the trigger. As well, in regards to pulling the trigger, Abra, you're going up against the lobby leader. You've got 87 credits. Are you going to make the use of them? They are not going to go for it. A loss here, especially since Antoshino is level 10. The higher the level, the more damage you do when you win. Let's see if Abra can stop the bleeding. Maybe get another win, because I mean, they haven't bled for the last couple of rounds, but they're close. And this is a risky round to have gone for a battle like this with so much still left in the tank. The 2 carries, Chikondi, the Rue, they're going to start getting focused on as all the rest of these Illuvials here from Antoshino are starting to converge onto those carries. There's not going to be enough shields to save you from this one. Abra is going to fall. Is that an elimination, or do they have one final shot to stay in the game? That's it. They're out of there by 2 points. They will be eliminated with 87 credits still in the bank. They played ballsy, but unfortunately, that's going to bite them from being on the top half here of this one. A valiant effort. Good game, Abra, nonetheless, but that definitely must sting a little. We do have another potential knockout here, this time by Predator with 4 health remaining in the game and no credits to actually spend at all either. Basically, can't do anything with 8. So let's see what happens when they go up against Warrior Race, which for the first time here on stream, not just this stream, but I feel like a lot of streams, we are going to see Tempest come out to play. Every time one of your allies faints, your team gets a burst of energy while your opponents lose a chunk of energy. Not really sought after as one of the most used affinities or synergies in the game, but could potentially have its use, especially up against Predator that does have that arcane floor links and the TNT that are going to be casting rather consistently. But the Furiox here for Predator does not care. In fact, it's hyper. It's got the type advantage, but it's being manhandled. The Mammoth is throwing it around directly in front of the Polar Bear. A big old Chompy going to finish the job there onto that Furiox, which means it's now all up to the Lynx. And unfortunately, the Lynx will not be able to hang on. Predator, a valiant effort, but going to fall in 4th. With an NPC round coming on through, let's catch up with chat this time by Money Flow Me. You had mentioned about the view changing earlier. Also, just want to say thank you and welcome. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And again, just to reiterate, in case I said it too fast, because we were kind of going into a battle when I was talking about it. But yeah, on your keyboard, there are a few default camera angles where you can do distance 2, 3, and 4. 1 resets it back to default. And then if you hold Control and right click while using WASD, you can fly around. And that's how I get my cinematic shots here for all of the Illuvials, all the teams. Or maybe I'm just taking a look at Crimson Wastes. That's how I do it. We do have Warrior Race up against Nocacho rather, going up against the Ghost. A bad loss there could be curtains, but I do want to see player versus player. So we've got Antoshino up against Warrior Race, and Warrior Race, I mean, they're not safe either. 27. I don't think it's enough to die immediately, but it would be very, very close. But we do have legendary augments now making their way onto the field. The Revo's got that Hyper Striker protocol coming on through just to do some more damage. Meanwhile, the Slashing getting a bunch of resistances and a bunch of healing while also doing energy damage. Can this Slashing from Warrior Race find a chance to snowball? It's level 41, so it's got a tiny bit of experience to it, and it's got at least its stats and attack damage and attack speed. It's going to be a squishy fella. The additional bonus damage coming out when it Omegas isn't necessarily going to be the strongest, but it has the stats where it needs it. But these are some tanky teams coming on through here. And again, these empaths with their damn shields feel just absolutely impenetrable. With the stun being put onto this Slashing, I think it's going to be curtains. The overtime pulses are going to come on through, but Antoshino is just too damn healthy. They're not going to be able to survive, or rather, Warrior Race is not going to be able to survive that one. Taking them down, and now this could be scary for Nocacho. We do have them going up against Antoshino, and we are seeing a bunch of credits spent in this one. Gazatep now online here for Antoshino as well, which should now, in theory, is that going to be Dust Enchanter now triggered. Enchanter is in fact now online, so just another absolute notch in the team building coming on through here from Antoshino. Lots of things active, lots of bonuses, but most importantly, at least to me, again, those 5 empaths giving such incredible shields every single time you kill or one of your allies goes down or your gorilla clone goes down, which is absolutely incredible. So We'll have to see if the firepower coming out here from No Cacho is going to be enough to do so. They do have the Mystic online, so they heal 10% of their health every single time an ally falls. Does add for an alternative way of keeping yourself tanky and healthy and opting for 5 fighters. That is a lot of attack speed, 40% bonus attack speed coming on through. So it is just basically polar opposites of both tankiness and damage coming on through here from these two teams. They're sitting inside of the verdant puddle here for No Cacho, so slow heals over time. That Jokul is hanging on, and it is actually a rather close battle here. The Enchanters trying their damage to stop this Furiox. They are going to be able to do so. What about the Forest? It does have the times respite, being able to heal and shield on every single Omega. And again, Forest does have a lot of Omegas. And what on earth even just happened here as the white bars come across for both of them? It actually is a game ender. No Cacho does go down to Antoshino hard enough to lose their life. And then Warrior Race also going up against, I believe, the ghost of Antoshino, does end up going down. So let that be a clinic as to how to build around, like, just a high quality team around Rogue or Empath Rogue Revenants, because this was an incredible little display coming out here from Antoshino. I want to just showcase it because, yes, we understand Revenant is good alongside Empath. I've been beating that to death this entire stream. But how do you incorporate that into additional team building? We see here with Antoshino opting for the Dust style. Did a fantastic job of just being able to get those blinds, get those silences across everybody on the opposing team. It was just wonderful, and it gave them the opening to just do a ton of damage. And then, of course, we saw earlier in the second game of the day where it was the Spore variant, I believe, that came out of Hector, was a fantastic way of seeing it as well. So just because Empaths are good, just because Revenant is good, doesn't mean you still can't get creative with it. And I do like what I am seeing. I do definitely hope that there are some sort of assistance balance-wise towards Empaths specifically coming up sometime soon. But am I going to blame players for playing it? Absolutely not. So GG's everybody. Thank you all for tuning in to the games. It has been an absolute pleasure. I enjoyed myself today once again. I hope you did as well. But we'll be closing things up here for today. I'll be streaming again next week starting on Monday. We are again YouTube exclusive going into Monday due to some cost cutting that I did have to do personally. So nothing that Twitch, the users on Twitch rather, or nothing that anybody on X did wrong, but I do need to cut costs, and hence YouTube will be the exclusive platform for my streams moving forward, which, at least when I'm looking at the chat, that's where most of you are anyway, so it works out. Nothing will change for any of yous, just anybody who might be either X or Twitch exclusive. I will have to make the hard ask of having you come on over to YouTube if you want to hang out some more. Monday stream will be at 3:30 my time, back to the afternoon. Of course, today we only did it a little bit earlier because I have the odd, rare opportunity to go to my esports arena and take part in a Pokemon event, VGC event coming on through. So we made the move. If that event happens to have a stream, I'll let you know about it if I happen to be on it, but there's nothing in the works as of that I know of as of this moment. But if it happens and you see me make a post on X or something, that's what I'm doing, because of course I am just a creature collector and creature battler at heart here, and even if I'm talking positively about Pokemon, doesn't mean I'm talking negatively about Illuvium. Again, my goal eventually sometime down the road is that I can bring Pokemon fans, introduce them to Illuvium as a way to get involved in this as well, not force one or the other sort of thing. That's my idea behind it. Yeah, Monday is going to be my next stream, 3:30 Eastern. I believe it's 8:30 UTC. It'll be my turn to do some competing as we try to rank up a little bit with my Scion base team, which has been tough, but I do need to level them up. Got to get in there and keep training. Wednesday will be this week in Illuvium once again. Follow up on any sorts of news that came on through from Illuvium over the next little bit, because of course we're still waiting on the conclusion of that ZK EVM migration. I believe that's why nothing like rewards wise or anything has been kind of talked about as well. I know I was kind of stressing at the end of my last stream that, I mean, there's a new season coming, there'd be a perfect opportunity to announce some things, but if the actual network is not ready yet, well, I mean, I guess you can't truly announce anything anyway. So fair enough there. I'm hoping that the CK EVM dial-up finally finishes up so we can finally start enjoying the game again to its fullest potential. But that being said, I do need to close up here for today. Thank you all once again for tuning in, and I will see you on Monday.